Testing. Oh, what? You don't hear it?
No, you're fine on the speaker.
Yeah, I just not hear. Too loud on there. Too loud on there.
Hello?
It's fine here.
Where is it too loud? Can you hear it now? It's in his earphones. It's too loud. Is it okay?
Yeah, you can stop.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Russell from Teachers of God Foundation, and welcome to our Friday Course in Miracles meeting. So happy to have you here, and so happy to have all of you here. We are sending our love and our light to Lisa Natoli and Bill Free and Linda Leland and a host of others that are, I think 22 of us in all, that are walking the pilgrimage of the El Camino from Portugal to Spain. I think it's 150 miles. They're doing something like 15 miles a day, and they're about halfway through. So we're there with them in spirit and can't wait till they get back and tell us all about it. And so in the meantime, we are here today and we have the lovely Monica Dubay that is going to be our featured speaker today. Yay! So I just want to start off by reading from the Cafe Gratitude, the Plenty of Time book. And this is a day that Monica has chosen herself. This is the reading actually for July 5th, but it pertains more to what she's teaching today. And it's Ralph Waldo Emerson, a quote from him that says, "A man is what he thinks about all day long. And what part of yourself are you denying?" So we can sort of think about that. And now is going to be the time in our program when we greet each other in love. We say, "Namaste, the light in me honors the light in you." And then we will be back and I will introduce Monica. So we're back. Namaste to you. The light in us honors the light in you. And so I want to now introduce our featured speaker, Monica Dubay. Can you come up here? Yeah. So Monica is not only our featured speaker, but she is a dear friend, and she is also a spiritual life coach. And the name of her coaching practice is Heal Your Mind, Heal Your Life. And the website is healyourmindhealyourlife.com. And I can personally vouch for her because she has coached me, and she's fantastic. And she's also been a Course in Miracles teacher for a lot of years.
28 years.
28 years. And a lovely person, a being of light. And I know you're going to love whatever she has to say today. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Well, it's just, it's really funny. I have to look to the camera, but all my friends are here. So it's kind of weird having to do both. I am really thrilled to be here today. I've got a topic today about how the question I'm asking everyone is, how are you going to have impact in your life? Okay. That's a word that's thrown around a lot, especially in the coaching world. Have impact and, make a difference and all that. And I realized recently, after doing a workshop this weekend, that the impact that I really want to have comes from me being authentically myself. It doesn't come from me being smart or knowing more information than other people, and not from ideas of having to look a certain way or be a certain way or teach something a certain way. It really just comes from my being truly authentic to who I am. And that's true for everybody, right? I mean, it would have to be. So the question is, what gets in the way of that, right? What gets in the way of you having the impact? And impact meaning, what does impact really mean, right? To me, it's like wanting your life to have meaning, wanting your presence here to have meaning, to have it do something, to have it affect something, right? And you can't always see it because you're in a dream, right? You're asleep, and hi Shirley, and you're asleep in a dream. And so how are you going to have impact in a dream? And that's what's so incredible, is that the Course in Miracles brings us to the recognition that the only way you're ever going to have any impact in your life or in other people's lives is for you to get very, very clear about who you are, to embrace who you really are. You cannot do it through teaching and learning and going and getting more degrees and going to a business school, or, I almost did that. I almost went to business school, and something in me went, no, you don't have to do it that way. Thank God. Saved a lot of money, a lot of time. But I was so clear that I had to do something, that I wanted to do something that was going to not just be a meaningless cog in the wheel kind of person who goes to work for a corporation, which is what I was doing at the time. I was working on Wall Street in a bank. I was working in the software department. But what I realized, and I kept getting more and more depressed because I felt like I was just part of this big machine, a bank. Like, what do I care about? A bank. What is the bank doing? Well, it's all about money. It's all about finance. It's all about people getting what they want. And as I looked at it and studied it and got into it and learned about the bond market and the stock market, all of that stuff kind of swirled around in my head for a while. And I realized that I wasn't going to have any impact. I wasn't going to have any meaning there, that it didn't mean anything to me, that whole world, Plus the other thing I saw was that it was all about perception, that truly everyone is trying to get something in the world. They're always trying to get something. And I didn't really understand that. I don't know. I guess I just didn't. I fell into it, and I was trying to get something too in my life that would do something for me, and then none of that worked. I mean, I wasn't really making that much money. I wasn't getting pregnant. I had 2 miscarriages actually, and that just blew me away. Like, oh, maybe even that's not going to happen. And these ideas, and I had a master's degree in music. I thought I was going to be a musician. And that fell away too, because it was impossible to do that for a living. So I'd given up on a lot of my dreams, I guess, or what I thought I was going to be able to do to have impact in the world and in my life. And so I went into a deep depression for about 6 months, and I couldn't sleep, and I was eating, but, I was just going to work, coming home, watching the news, going to sleep, coming home, having dinner, watching the news. And every night I thought I was educating myself. I thought I was doing something important, and I was just asleep in this dream of routine of this is what you have to do to be happy, get married, have the kids, have the big house in the suburbs and all that stuff. Well, anyway, it all collapsed on me when I was almost 30 years old. And finally I saw, I mean, in that moment, I really saw there's a problem here. And the problem was that track I was on wasn't satisfying to me. It wasn't a track I really wanted. And I didn't know what I wanted because I didn't know who I was. I honestly had no idea. All I knew growing up was I was a really good musician and I was going to be a musician. That's all I knew. And so I got my degrees in performance and I was really good, but it didn't make it still didn't, that identity didn't make me happy either. It didn't give me fulfillment. So here's the dilemma was that I had to find out what was the problem, what was the core of the problem. And that was really in my awareness. I finally got to the heart of it, and that was through finding the Course in Miracles. It was the only thing that made any sense to me. I was like, I'm terrified. I don't know why I'm terrified. I'm depressed. I don't know why I'm depressed. I just knew that the life I was on wasn't working. And so I picked up the Course, and it started to speak to me, like in really black and white, uncertain terms. You're afraid because you don't know who you are, because you're living a dream of nothingness. You've made up a world around you that is all imagery. It's just coming from you. You're an image in my mind. You're an image in my mind. I'm an image in my mind because I'm trying to look good, and not look bad, right? All the time. That's what we do. Just look good and don't look bad. It's really hard to do because you're always judging. Well, how do I look? How do they look? Do they like me? Don't they like me? She has funny glasses. Do I like them? Don't I like them? We're constantly doing that, right? And so today, I want to give you a key, a really important key that I've really learned over the years, but especially now. The only thing that you really need to do to have impact in your life is to let go of who you think you are. Which isn't that easy to do, but it's the only thing you have to do. You have to let go of your perceptions of you being something separate from someone else, or you not having power, right? A lot of people think they don't have power, and I'm so powerless, I can't do what I want to do, and and I'm not sure how it's ever going to work out, and so all those doubts and all that angst about who you are is still part of the problem. It's still you not knowing. It's you being uncertain, right? And it's you not really truly having a solution. And in a way, that's a really good thing, right? But you have to admit it. You have to admit, I don't have the solution. Hi, Bonnie. And I don't have the solution because I'm creating a problem in my mind with all this chatter, with all this, well, I don't know. Does he like me? Doesn't he like me? How's Bonnie? Does Bonnie want to see me today? Is she, how's she doing today? How am I doing in her eyes? How do I look to them? What about my clients? Do they like me? Don't they like me? Sometimes they reject me. Sometimes they're happy with me. Does it matter? Yeah, it matters. Everything matters because I'm making it matter for me, right? So lesson 1 and 2 we're going to cover today, because lesson 1 and 2, if you get lesson 1 and 2, you will seriously have an enlightening experience. It's the crux of the whole course. And honestly, it's not that hard. It's the fact that nothing here means anything. The chair doesn't mean anything. The floor doesn't mean anything. This body doesn't mean anything. My glasses don't mean anything. This paper doesn't mean anything. Nothing means anything. Okay? And that's a very scary thought to an ego, because the ego is a construct of who you are and what everything means, right? You've given meaning to everything you see. That's lesson 2. I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. Yeah. All your relationships, your mother, your father, what they did to you, what they didn't do to you, what your brothers and sisters said or didn't say or do to you, for you. You know, it really started there, where you began this whole journey into what we call separation, and you became this conditioned identity. It's okay. It happened. It happened. You were born. You had a mother, you had a father. You had this experience, you had that experience. My sister died. My sister was an infant, younger than me. She died. That impacted me. But the only thing that really impacted me was what I told myself about it. Right? So the events happen in your life. You get married, you don't get married. You have a great relationship, you have a very painful relationship, you know. All these things happened in your life. I've been married 3 times, divorced 3 times. Okay. I'm totally fine with that until I say, so what's wrong with me? You know, until I make a meaning out of it and say, was it them? Was it me? Right? Was it them? Did I do something wrong? Did they do something? Did they betray me? Did I betray them? Was I a good wife? Was I a bad wife? Was I a good mother? Was I a bad mother? Right? All of this self-evaluation is part of your problem. It is the problem that you're having. And you can't stop doing it until you recognize it's all meaningless. It's bringing you nothing but pain. It's bringing you nothing but a dream of suffering, right? Because if you say to yourself, I'm a really good wife. I really work hard at my relationship, right? Then I can think that thought, and then I'll make it real. Or I can think, oh, I really suck at this. I've had 3 marriages and 3 divorces. Oh my God, who am I? And I did that for a while. Like, is it me? So, and it's funny because life happens, right? I mean, your events and your life happens because you're making choices. And I'm going to go back to that moment of depression where the real problem I saw was that I didn't know who I was. I could evaluate my life. I could evaluate my situation by comparing myself to other people and what they were doing, right? Well, he's getting a degree in business and he's making lots of money, and maybe that's what I'm supposed to want, because wouldn't it be nice, you know, to have this house and then have a house in the country and then be able to travel and all these ideas, you know, that the human condition. It's all about getting something outside of you to happen to you so you can be free and you can be yourself and you can be happy and fulfilled. Right? That'll never work. It'll never work because you're still going to be the you when you're 65 and you've lived all this whole life and now you're retired and you don't know what the hell to do with yourself then. You know? And you can't make, you know, like playing golf that interesting. You know, it's just not okay because you still haven't found the you that you've been seeking. Okay? Great. So here's my the thing that I love about this is that there is a solution. All right? I know it seems really depressing to talk about it this way. But the fact is there is a solution. And the solution has to be, who are you and who do you want to be? Right? Who are you right now? And who do you want to be tomorrow? Right? And in the next however many years you want to be here. You're going to be here. You have to make that choice. Right? And the choice really comes down to first of all, discovering who you are through a process of, you know, a spiritual process like we do, A Course in Miracles. Why are we doing A Course in Miracles? Like, what is the real reason that made you pick up that book and go, I really should do this? Anybody want to tell me? What made you do it? Kelly. Microphone.
The short answer is Marianne Williamson made me do it after I read Return to Love. But the longer answer is that I got to a place in my life where I was asking, there has to be a better way. And I think that when people ask that, like with Helen Schuckman, when she and Bill Thetford, when they said that, the Course in Miracles sort of floats into your awareness.
What was happening for you at that time?
I had been laid off for the third time from a career that I now no longer have. It was kind of a cosmic 2x4. And I didn't have a degree, and every job that I wanted to apply for required a degree. It was right after 9/11. So it was actually a very pivotal point in my life, and I completely credit the Course in Miracles for becoming a beacon.
And how did it impact you?
Well, it completely changed my life. I mean, other than that.
In what way?
It completely changed my life because it was the first time that I read something, a spiritual philosophy that didn't leave me with any questions. It answered every question that I ever had about why things happen in the world. And it made so much sense, even though I sometimes had resistance to things, you know, especially because he speaks in that first person of, you know, you are this and you think this and you believe this and you do that. But I also knew that my resistance was just resistance. So it's read like truth, and it spoke to my soul. And I think that when this is your path, that is kind of your response to Course in Miracles. And it started to, it started to have an impact. Coincidentally, what you're talking about today, it started to have an impact right away. Yeah.
Great. John.
For me, what pushed me in this direction was relationship pattern. That I realized that I was not getting the love that I thought was out there, and I was always the one that was present. So it wasn't them. Clearly, it was me. And so I got online and started looking for information, and found Marianne Williamson too. It's funny, different book on relationships. And I read some samples, and so I bought her book and read her book and realized, oh, she's taken all this from this Course in Miracles book. So then I didn't do the lessons for the first year. I read the text 3 times. And really strong impact on my perception of what I was looking for outside of me. That was probably the first big thing, which was answering the direct question of, well, I'm the one that's always there when this is happening. So clearly it's not them.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, it's, oh, sorry. Turn that off. So you're at a crisis, right? Like you finally see, oh, it's got to be me, because every relationship has me in it. And when your career collapses and you're like, what do I do now? I also, when I found the Course, and I do have to credit Marianne Williamson too, because I went to work for her. It was just like the weirdest thing. I was just going along my way and having really amazing experiences with the Course, reading the lessons, doing them every day. And I finally could sleep again. I finally started to feel happy. And really within a couple months, I almost felt really fearless. And I'd been terrified and had low-grade anxiety all of my life. So I knew something was up when the anxiety started to go away. I knew something was working, and all I was doing different was reading A Course in Miracles lessons and the text and going to a class, with other people. And then I had this experience that, well, this is answering my question, because the one thing that I really asked myself was, where's all this fear coming from? And it answered that question, and that was that the mind is, you're making it up. You're making up the fear that you're in. And then I was like, and there's no such thing as sin, which was awesome for me because I was Catholic. I'm like, there's no such thing as sin. Oh my God, I'm way off the hook here now. Woo, no more sin, yay. But there is error, and error can be corrected. And that's the hope of the Course in Miracles, that we're making errors by being afraid. That's our error. We're afraid. That's the only error you ever make. I'm afraid. I am in my past. And that's up to lesson 7. So nothing I see means anything goes up to lesson 7, which is I see only the past because I'm creating it in my mind. I'm preoccupied with it. I'm thinking about my old relationships. Old, really. They're not old. They're still in you. They're still what you're thinking and living in every day. But you may not have seen that person for years, and they're still in your mind, and you're still judging them. So your whole problem is that. Your whole problem is that you're still living in the past. And you can't stop that until you decide you've had enough. Right? You've had enough pain. You've had enough of the past. You've had enough of the judgment. And you've had enough of the blame. And so how do you get out of that? Right? How do you get out of the past? How do you get out of what you're holding on to with your resentments and your judgments of other people and what they've done to you or didn't do to you? And of course, the only answer is forgiveness. It has to be forgiveness. It has to be learn how to see that it didn't happen the way you think. Like the action might have happened, but the story you're telling about it isn't true. None of your stories are true. None of them. They don't do anything. That's why the Course says when you're thinking about the past, your mind is actually blank. It's blank. It's not active at all. You might have revelatory experiences, like I do, like right now while I'm teaching. I don't know what I'm going to say next. It's coming through me. That's revelatory. I don't control it. I don't try to make it work or happen. But the only way I can tell the difference is that when I'm not doing that, I'm thinking. Right? I'm thinking, oh, my sister this, my sister that. I have 5 sisters. They do this to me. They do that to me. They don't call me. They never blah, blah, blah. They don't accept me. They've rejected me. Blah, blah, blah. Story, 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 story. This weekend I saw that and I started to realize that, oh my God, I've cut off my relationships with my sisters. I love my sisters. Why am I doing that to myself? And so I got on the phone and called every single one of them and told them, I'm sorry. I've separated myself from you and I don't want to do that anymore. And it had a profound impact on me. My sister came and visited me like the next day because I invited her. And I had a chaotic household when I grew up. Story. I was one of the youngest in the family, and it was chaotic. It was loving family, though. And yet, there's residual stuff that I still deal with from feeling like I can't speak up, like I don't fit in. Right? Don't we all feel that? I don't fit in. My family doesn't get me. They rejected me. And none of it's true. It's just you. It's just you having these thoughts. It's just you thinking that you even know what happened all those years ago. They're just figments of your imagination, Like even that, and Jesus says it in the Course, even the childhood home you grew up in isn't the same. It's a whole different place. You've made it up. You've made it into this thing. And then you've assigned meaning to what happened. And all of that meaning has brought you to where you are right now. It's brought you to the place where you sit right now. That's why it's so important, so vitally important that you clean up your relationships with an action, like truly picking up the phone and saying you're sorry, or saying I don't want to be separate from you anymore. I love you. And it's hard, right? All your fear comes up, like, what are they going to say? Well, what do they think? And what if they think I'm crazy? And what if they think I joined a cult? And what if they think that... Seriously. They don't get me because I'm doing the Course in Miracles and they're not doing the Course in Miracles. And so, I'm different from them and I'm better than them. No, I'm worse than them. And, just pick up the phone. None of that matters. It's all your own crap. It's your story. And your stories are never true. Thank God. Thank God your stories are never true. Isn't it fun?
All fiction.
They're all fiction. So where are you what was it, where are you holding back, or where are you in resistance? What are you denying? I think it was. Emerson is one of my true heroes. I think I was related to him when he was alive, because every time I go to Concord and I see the grave and everything, I'm like, oh my God, I think this was me. I lived here.
What parts of yourself are you denying?
What parts of yourself are you denying? This is really good. I love it. The thoughts you think all day long. What parts of you are you denying? The thoughts you think, the grievances, the resentments. They're not working for you. They're not going to bring you happiness. And they do create a life of suffering. If you stay there, you will not have any impact in your life. Right? And that's the truth of it. And that's the hard truth of it. That if you stay in the resentment, or you stay in the victim mode of this happened to me, therefore, blah, 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 and you hang on to that, you will never be free, and you will never have impact in your life. Not at all. So you're in this drift, going along, rudderless. Your boat has no rudder, you have no direction. You're just adrift of nothingness. And it isn't working, right? You're still thinking about the past. Oh, I wish that hadn't happened. It happened. I mean, yeah. Even the really tough stuff that happened in your life, because I know a lot of us had very serious abusive situations. It did happen. But are you still telling yourself a story about it? Can you free yourself from that story? I mean, the Course is all about it, right? That's all it ever teaches you is lesson 6. I'm upset because I see something that's not there. It's not there. Okay.
I'd like to say something.
Hold on. I just have to move into this. Okay, go ahead. What do you want to say?
You can't always say something to the person. My son, he won't let me talk to him. So
Okay. Sorry.
it's a war zone at my house.
Okay.
So it's not always the past. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. Okay. The ego tries to exploit all situations into forms of praise for itself to overcome its doubts. It will be doubtful forever, or better, as long as you believe in it. That was a doubt. Okay? We have doubts. Well, that would work for someone else in a different situation, but not me, not in my situation. And that's just how it is. We make exceptions for ourselves. And we think, oh, it's good for you, but not for me. My story is way worse than yours. I have a tragic story. And it's a drama. And you make it all real. And you really want to convince me that it's different than someone else. Right? Because you're comparing. And you're really, and I know you're caught in it. And that's okay. It's okay, Linda. It's just that when you really get serious about it, you're not going to make excuses anymore. You're going to say, I want what's real. I want the truth because I'm not happy. And I can't make myself happy with my doubts and my fears and my resentments and where I'm holding back. Mostly what I got out of this workshop I went to was I've been holding back. I mean, I used to not really be able to even speak very loudly, right? And now I'm able to speak a lot more clearly. I feel a lot more grounded because I cleaned up the stuff in my life where I was thinking other people were judging me. It's funny. I keep thinking someone else is judging me, but it was me judging them. It was me judging me. You know, I was separating myself off. Oh, they don't understand me. They judged me. They thought I was in a cult. They didn't support me. Blah, blah, blah. Story, 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 story. I had to get off it. I had to get off that crazy wheel of, oh, I've been doing this a long time, you know, and I don't want that. I do want to be close to my sisters. And I do want to have authentic relationships in my life. That's the only way I'm going to be able to have any impact, by being truthful, right? I want to keep going with this, though, because this is chapter 4, by the way. The ego struggled to preserve itself. It's chapter 4. This is brilliant. If you ever want to read anything about why you stay stuck, read this chapter. Okay. All right. So I want to say this too, because we're teachers of God. We're all, every single one of us, and every single one of us, you listening and watching, are being called to be a teacher of God. Okay. And what does that mean? What does it mean to you? What do you want it to mean? It's going to mean whatever you say it means, right? For me, it means get off it and get up there and do whatever comes through you. Open your mouth and speak, right? And don't hold back. Like, be truthful. What are you experiencing? How are you in your relationships? You know? That's the only way I could ever have any impact on anyone, is to be truthful and to say what I really feel, right? And to bring that gift of being truthful into the world and showing others they can do that too, right? So a teacher of God is anyone who decides he wants to be one, period. The only requirement was that you saw that you weren't separate from your brother, that their pain was your pain, that they had an issue you have, you know, and that there's no separation because your love and your light is not different from their love and their light, right? There's no distinction in love. Love is love, right? It is what it is. It's an experience. It's not what you think it is. It's not what you've made up about it. It's not failed marriages. It's not kids who reject you. You know, it's not that. It's letting go of those stories that you tell yourself and seeing that deep down, you actually really love absolutely everyone in your life. You know, everyone you've ever encountered, you totally love them. I'm going to have you talk later. If you're willing. There's a sharing that needs to happen. Like when you get really real with this and you start to make phone calls and you start to make your amends, or however you do that, your life changes so drastically you can't believe it. It's like, oh my God, I was doing this for years. And I don't have to do that anymore. I'm whole and perfect. I'm not the story. I'm whole and perfect. You're whole and perfect. You're not your story. And that's what you have to tell the people in your life. You're not the story I made up about you. You're not the story you made up about you. You're whole and perfect. What if you got up right now and called everybody in your life and told them that? What? Could you do it? You guys, come on, yes or no?
Yeah.
Like, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So that's what's required that you do. You take that step and you go, okay, I really want to experience this now. Is it scary? Yeah, it's only scary because you put distance between you and them. You've made up a story, you know? And if you get truthful with yourself, you don't really like the story. It's not a happy story. It's a story of pain. It's a story of separation. It's a story of being hurt. You know, I have 3 brothers. Oh my God, they tease me my whole life. And I love my brothers. And they still tease me. You know, I go there and we're playing a game and they're teasing me like crazy. And I'm like, what? But it's just how they do it, you know? And I don't have to take that on like it's a big deal. It's just how they love me, I guess. I don't know. I don't have to make up a story about it and go, oh, they shouldn't treat me like that. You know, I'm a big girl now. Not to them. I'm their little sister. And that's okay. It really is. So I'm going to read some more of this because it's really amazing. Your worth is not established by your teaching. Your worth was established by God. You're whole, perfect. As long as you dispute this, everything you do will be fearful. Right? Because that's your perception. So if you dispute that your worth was established by God, you are already whole, you are already completely worthy, because you're not the story you made up. Then if you dispute it, you're going to be fearful, and particularly any situation which lends itself to the fallacy of superiority and inferiority. Judgment. So anytime you feel that, anytime you feel superior, anytime you feel inferior. If you feel inferior, you're working on shame and guilt and I'm not important and I'm not worthy, right? But if you're working on superiority, it's like, I'm better than them. I know who I am. All puffed up, right? And I can be this and I'm that. And it's all still a story. And you know it. You can't really, like the ego's pretty tricky, right? Ego mind's really tricky, but it's not stupid. Like, you know you're doing it. You get it. I'm telling myself a lie again. Oh, causing myself pain. How can I stop? Forgiveness. Forgive yourself that you thought those thoughts, right? And that you still do, and you still compare, and you're still worried. Well, I thought I was further along than I am. I should be done. I should be this. I should have peace in my mind all the time. Really? I don't know anyone that has that. Even Byron Katie says, like, she still does the work on herself. Who am I? Who would I be without that thought? Who would I be without my story? Ask yourself. Teachers must be patient and repeat their lessons until they're learned. Yeah, that's why I'm still teaching after 30 years. And that's why I still pick up the course after 30 years. I must have patience and repeat the lesson until it's really learned. Repeat it. Why do I have to hear this again? Because I didn't do it. I'm still not in a state of harmony with all my relationships. Your relationships are your world, right? If you're in pain over your relationships, you haven't picked up the phone. You haven't made that call. And I know you think they did it to you. Still, what's going on in your mind? I am willing to do so. This is Jesus speaking. I am willing to do so because I have no right to set your learning limits for you. In other words, he's patient and he repeats his lessons until we learn them because he has no right to set our learning limits for us. In other words, he's just going to sit there waiting for you to decide, okay, done. I want this. I want this to be true for me. I don't care if I memorized this whole book. I don't care what lesson is number 26 or, I don't care. Am I experiencing this? Am I experiencing that I am the light of the world? And if not, then I've got some work to do to clean this up. This act, this image I've made. Okay? Once again, nothing you do or think or will or make is necessary to establish your worth. Once again, we have to hear that over and over and over because we don't value ourselves. We don't value who we are. We don't value our life. We don't value our relationships. And until you do, you will suffer. This point is not debatable. I love it. He's like, this is the truth. Shut up. It's true. Like, shut up and listen. Jesus is telling you what's true here. As long as you dispute this, everything you do will be fearful. Yeah. Your ego is never at stake because God did not create it. It's not real anyway. Your spirit is never at stake because he did, right? He created you perfect, whole, intact, one with everything. Do you believe that? Do you believe? It's not even about belief. This is beyond belief. This is acceptance. Truly, just acceptance. So any confusion on this point is a delusion, and no form of devotion is possible as long as this delusion lasts. And the name of this section is called The Devoted Teacher. I love it because it really means it is a devotion. It is a covenant that we have made with our Christ mind to come here and be this. And it does require devotion. That's why they call them devotees. When you find a master who speaks to you and wakes you up, you're a devotee, which just means that you're devoted to your awakening, not to a person, not to an image, but to you, to who you are, right? Because you are the Christ. You don't need a teacher outside of you unless you do. I did. You know, I needed someone to show me, to kick me out of my dream of suffering. I don't mean kick me, but it did feel that way a lot of the time. It was like a cosmic kick up the butt, you know, come on, get out of that, you know, and I'm like that when I work with people because I don't want to see you suffer for that any longer than you need or want to. Like I'm pretty tough on my clients, but it's a loving way, that I can be. I don't know how to even describe it. It's like, I tell you the truth. I tell you what I see. I tell you where you're holding back, and I help you release it, period. That's all I'm going to do. I don't know what else to do. I don't want you to sit there in your pain waiting for me to go, oh, poor you. Your story is so bad. It's so tragic, and I just won't do that. It's just, no. Don't call me if you want that kind of coach. But seriously, and I have people that struggle with that with me because I'm so upfront. But I really can't be any other way. I am what I am. And there are people that really want it that way. And those are the people that are drawn to me. They're drawn to Lisa. You're drawn to Lisa. Why? Lisa's the same way. She tells the truth. Right? We tell the truth. We were trained to do that. You know? And we're all being trained to do that. Whether you get it now or you get it 10 years from now or next lifetime, it won't matter. But, you know, now would be good, right? Why waste all that time? All right, so if you'll be a devoted teacher rather than an egocentric one, you will not be afraid. This is what I saw. This is what, when I went to that workshop, I thought, I'm coming here because, and I even got up and said this, I want to be a leader in my field. I want to step into my leadership. And he goes, yeah, wouldn't everybody like that? And the whole group went, yeah. And then I sat down and I went, I have no idea what I just said or why I said that or what that even means. And I learned over the next few days that it meant I have to get real. I got to get real with myself. I got to get honest. I got to stop holding back. I got to start really telling the truth. And it's scary because people often don't want to hear it. But that's okay. Because it's better for me to be authentic to me and with my relationships, because then I'm free, right? Then I'm free, and then I can have impact. Until I'm awake, I don't have impact. Sorry. The dream doesn't have impact. It's a dream. It's still a suffering nightmare of stories that you're telling over and over and over. And when that gets really boring and really exhausting, and sometimes you just go, what? Why can't I make a relationship work? Other people have loving, long-lasting relationships. What? What am I doing? Right? What am I thinking, really, about myself? And there's a lot of fear underneath all that because you're afraid to be alone. You're afraid to be yourself. And you can't live your life afraid of anything and have impact. So it's you know, it requires a lot. It requires that you give up the stories. It requires that you stop making excuses for why it shouldn't be this way or why it should be this way or who you're supposed to be even. You know, I don't know. Like I don't know who I'm supposed to attract to as clients in my business? I have no idea. I just know that I'm here to do it. I show up. I get on the phone. It happens. And I love it because I don't really have to know. It's not me doing it. It's this light coming through me. It's the love I have for my clients, but for humanity. I want you to be free, and I want you to bring your work into the world. But if you still hold back and think, oh, I can't, not me. I'm not as good as Monica. I'm not as great as Lisa. Bullshit. You are. That's what we're always teaching you, is that you are the light of the world. It's not someone else. It's you. So if you become afraid, it's because you're using, oh, wait a minute. The teaching situation is fearful if it's misused as an ego involvement, right? Like if you're doing it to be someone, to have an impact the way you think, or have an image that you're impacting, or it's all crap, right? You have to be you. You have to stand there and go, I don't know. I'm here to be myself, period. And that's what I'm going to teach. And anything else is going to be more information. And information being put on top of information doesn't really do you much good. You really have to have the experience. That's why it's all about forgiveness. It's all about do it. Do the lesson. Where in your mind are you holding back? Where in your mind are you still judging? Okay. If you become afraid, it's because you're using it this way. You're using the teaching situation as an ego involvement. But even if you are, just teach anyway, because you can't help it. You know what I mean? Start the course group in your hometown. Do something. Just start to give. You know, so what if it's coming from your ego? It really isn't. It's your desire to live and to love and to extend. That's really all the Course ever asked you to do. He really says, I need teachers. You know, are you ready to join my team and be a teacher? Are you ready to do this with me? He's constantly confronting us with that, you know. And if you're not, what are you doing here? Right? You're just living in this dark dream of nothingness. Sorry, that's just true. The devoted teacher is perceiving the situation as it is, not as he wills it, not as your ego wills it. As it is just as it is, right? I was asked to teach a class. I'm teaching a class. This is what's happening. I can make up stories about it. Oh, do they like me? Don't they like me? Did it go well? Didn't it go well? Did I make sense? Didn't I make sense? I used to do that a lot when I would teach. I used to teach the course in Brooklyn when I was first getting into it. And I was like, what? Me teach? I was terrified to get up in front of people. Literally terrified. But, you know, the voice is like, come on, you got to do this. You said you would. I'm like, oh, God, really? Did I? Okay. I know. And I get invited to teach at this Unitarian church. So I'm like, that's nice. And it was a beautiful room. And I'm sitting there and 12 people show up. And I'm there. I think I did 12-week sessions or something. And it was amazing. Because every time I got up to do this, all I had to do was this. I read it. I said what it said. Right? And I let the words just sink into people. And I didn't have anything to do with it, you know. And every time I stood there, I felt this presence right behind me, literally. That Christ presence was there. And I knew it was. And so I knew that I'd be okay. I was safe. I wasn't going to be like attacked or anything. Really, because that's your fear. Is like, they're going to hate me. They're going to throw tomatoes at me. I don't know what you think, you know. And it really doesn't even matter what you look like or what you even think you look like. You can't evaluate it. I can't evaluate whether you heard me or you're hearing me. I have no idea. And frankly, it's not that I don't care, but I know I have to give the message no matter what. So it's scary because you know people will object at times because they're egos. And they sit there going, I'm not sure. I don't like your shirt. And I don't think, and you're not really that funny. And what time is it anyway? And isn't she, are you telling me that I'm lying? So you know what I mean? All your fears come out. And it doesn't matter. You still have to do it. Why? Because it's just crazy not to. You're going to stay in your fear. And that's not a life. That's not a life. It's not life to stay fearful. You're not living when you're fearful. You're dead. Sorry. I don't want to apologize for that, but, you know, you forgive me? Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, but the fact is, if you're not alive, you are dead, right? If you're not in love, you are in fear. There's no fence. There's no fence to sit on. It's either or. And that's why it's confronting. It's so confronting to read this and go, really? Me? Yeah. Really? It's me? It's not my sisters? No, it's you. You're holding yourself back. You're not going and visiting them. You're not calling them. My kids, they don't call me. My kids don't love me. They don't call me. Really? Pick up the phone. Talk to them. And tell them you think that. Be honest. You know, I want to have a relationship with you. I care about you. I'm sorry I've been separate. I'm sorry I've put you through pain. Whatever you have to say it. And you'll be amazed. I mean, I've had about 7 or 8 conversations with people that were close to me in a couple of days. And I'm different. I'm so different. Just because I did it. Like, do it. What do you got to lose? The ego tries to exploit all situations into forms of praise for itself. Wow. To overcome its doubts. Why? Because you're doubtful. You don't know who you are. So, I look good, right? How do I look? You like me? You know, like you're looking for praise. You're looking for approval. You're looking for someone to like you. Only because you don't know who you are. You're doubting who you are. And that's the crux of the course, is that you don't know who you are, so you doubt it. And I went through a lot of doubt in the last couple of years. Believe me, when I started this business, I had to step into this thing. I'm like, me? Who me? Why? Why don't I just teach A Course in Miracles? I know how to do that. Nope, you got to coach people. Nope, you're going to help them get businesses going. You're going to do business coaching too. And I'm like, really? Like it wasn't what I thought I'd be doing. But it's okay. It seems to be working, you know, and I love it. So, but I'm not looking to get praise. I'm just, I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. And is it okay that I get paid for it? I hope so, because I need to live, you know. It's okay because it's valuable. It's valuable. Value, I value it, so I get paid. Great. You know. It took me a while to come to that, to be okay with that. And to know that that means something. That when people pay for something, they value it. Right? And they pay attention. And they show up. And they do the work. And that's what's great about it, is that when you get really clear about that, you don't worry about charging money. It's like, of course you're going to charge money. Of course they're going to pay you money. Because it's worth that. Your time, your presence, all the countless years of work I've done to be here and be able to do this, you know, it's worth something. And it's worth it because it's worth it to you to make an investment and put your money where your mouth is and really step in and commit. And people don't commit without money, usually. They just don't. When I went to the academy, it was a 30-day minimum stay. 30 days. I had 2 little kids. It was really hard for me to do that. And it was a certain amount of money. And that the reason they did it that way was because they only wanted people who were serious, who really wanted to wake up, who really wouldn't just run at the first sign of a fear thought coming up. Or, oh, the teacher said something to me and insulted me in front of everybody. I'm leaving. You know, I mean, if you do that, you're going to miss it. Because it really is about you being willing to be confronted, to be undone, to be shown where you're off, to be shown where you're holding on to resentment. And where you're trying to maintain that facade, right? Like every time you tell yourself a story, like even when I say, I've been doing the course for 30 years, who cares? Just a story, right? And I can make myself important by that. Or I can make myself, well, I'm still doing it. You know, I guess I haven't gotten it yet because I have to keep reading it. Superior or inferior, you know? I just keep doing it because I keep doing it. I love it. It speaks to me. It works for me. And I like to find things that work. It's workable, right? Really what makes sense to me is find the workability in your life. What works for you, right? Does it work for you to give all your money away? Does it work for you to work with people and not be paid? It doesn't work for me. Just like nothing works when it doesn't work, right? So you got to have all the pieces together in your life. You have to have the integrity to hold to the truth of who you are, and that's what works. That's what I have found works for me. It's to stay in integrity with myself and be honest and truthful. Okay, one more thing, and then we're going to have. I want John to speak, if you want to, and. Well,
I don't, you're going to guide me because I have no idea what to speak about.
I know.
But I will.
So it'll be doubtful forever. Your doubts will be doubtful forever, or better, as long as you believe in them. Right? So your doubts are going to stay doubts until you stop believing in them. Your fear will stay fear until you stop giving it energy. You stop believing in the fear thoughts. You sabotage yourself with fear all the time. You procrastinate. You put things off. Right? And that isn't serving you. So that's why we sedate, right? We don't want to look at this. We don't want to look at the stories we're telling ourselves, and we don't want to look at that we're the cause of our resentments, right? That's what causes people to drink. It's your resentment, and AA guys know that, you know. Resentment's the killer. It's the thing that makes me pick up that drink, is that I can't face my own self-loathing. I can't face my own judgment of that guy and what he did to me. And eventually, and it is inevitable, but eventually that gets old and tired and exhausting, and it kills you. And you don't have to do that anymore. Thank God, right? There's lots of ways to get out of it. You got to find one that works for you. And for me, it was the course and the 12-step program and Byron Katie. and you know, I try them all because I like to see how they work, and I'm looking for the fastest way out of hell. So you are part of reality which stands unchanged, beyond the reach of your ego, but within easy reach of your spirit. Again, I tell you that when you are afraid, be still and know God is real, and you are his beloved Son, in whom he is well pleased. Do not let your ego dispute this, because the ego cannot know what is far beyond its reach, as you are. You're beyond it. It isn't you. It's a story. God is not the author of fear. You are. You have willed, therefore, to create unlike him, and have made fear for yourself. And this is the killer. Not the killer. It's the crux of the whole thing. You are not at peace because you're not fulfilling your function. And what is your function as a teacher of God? Anyone know? Forgiveness.
Well, right.
Is my function as the light of the world. It is. It's the only thing I'm here to do. It's the at-one-ment. It's bringing myself into the truth by forgiving my thoughts, my imagery, you know, stepping into the light. I'm not the story I've made up. You're not the story I've made up about you. I am the light that sees that I've done that, and sees it and observes it and goes, done. I don't want any more. So God gave you a very lofty responsibility, which you're not meeting. You know this, and you're afraid. That's why it makes you afraid, because you're like, oh, I haven't really done that. Oh, there's somebody I really do have a relationship with that I haven't healed. I have to do that. I have to pick up the phone. I have to do this now to tell my story that it's over, to close the book. Okay. God is inevitable, and you cannot avoid him any more than he can avoid you. All right. I want you to speak from your experience. Yes, of course. I want you to come up. Oh, here's your mic. Because if you're willing to, just what you've been through in the last couple of days, if you're willing to.
Oh, you
share.
want me to get up here and cry in front of everybody?
No, I want you to. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. Well, not really, but okay.
Okay.
Introduce yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm John Wernsdorfer, and I'm Monica's partner. And we went to a great thing this weekend and learned a lot about ourselves. I guess in the light of what you're talking about would probably be, so things happened to me as a kid, and I created this great story out of that. And so I've been living in that story. And it gets convoluted because I knew I was living in the story, so much so that I found ways to say, well, I'm not living in my story. So then it starts to get really tricky. The ego is going, no, you're not using that. And so much so that I'm using it. And I would argue it because I had lots of great reasons and lots of great ways to look around it. But it really became clear when this weekend there was a coach there that was really effective, and I realized I was doing that. So I went up and asked him, how do I get around that? It's like, because I'm finding my own ways around it. So in a nutshell, he undid that for me through conversation. What was amazing was that went on from age, I would say around 14, maybe a little before that. So now I'm 56. So we got, 42 years in there? So 42 years of anger and, pissed off at my father. So everything that I've done has had that carried around in it, one way or another, one place or another. And so in this conversation with this guy, it was interesting. It switched right there on the spot, which, as you can imagine, can be pretty emotional. So through tears and snot, I was able to see what was on the other side of that. Not only that, but realized that all that time I was wanting to figure out how to forgive him, when suddenly I realized that I need to ask him for forgiveness. And that was really interesting to see. So, and I got on the phone and cleared up a lot of relationships. Brothers, sisters, kids, friends. Been on the phone a lot in the last 2 or 3 days. Hadn't had a conversation with my younger son for 9 or 10 years. Ironically, he was 14. So it's not ironic. It's the pattern. It's right there in front of me. And rightly so, he's really angry at me. But that's okay, because I'm not going to make a story out of that. I'm just going to continue to talk to him. And I haven't seen my father for, I think, about the same amount of time. I don't really know. It's been a long time. So I'm going to go see him tomorrow. And he may not know who I am. It's possible. He's he's got Alzheimer's, but it doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter. Because I can add story to story and make more story out of story. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. And of course, that lightens the load between us.
Yeah.
That's what the ego can do with our stories.
Yeah.
Even when we know that they're stories, which was pretty amazing to see that I had stories about the stories. Even calling people. Is he going to be angry at me? He's going to be angry. Shut up. Just call. Hi.
They love you.
Yeah.
And they can't wait. They're so glad you called, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friends are amazing because they know all of it, and I've shared all of them with them, and yet I haven't talked to them for months.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody want to ask a question or share a story yourself of what's going on with you or how this has impacted you? Yeah, it's real. Forgiveness is real. We really are here to be the light, and that doesn't really mean what you think it means.
Today's June 15th.
It is.
5 years ago today, I got divorced in
Wow.
Salem court. And I think it was yesterday, my girlfriend, it was only last August, that I got a restraining order, from my ex, because he was always around, I got divorced, but he still needed help. So I kept helping, and, so what do? You love them. And she told me, you did the right thing to get him out. And she took him under her wing, so you wonder. And then she's like telling me, because I need painting done at my house. Would you like to have him come and do the painting? Because I still have the restraining order, to just stay clear. I just feel like it's helped to. So I don't know. Maybe things are all set, and I can drop it or whatever. I don't, because I don't feel any different. I just feel like, now I had some space.
Good.
But do I need to keep going? I don't know. I'm supposed to get connection healed, right? I just ask the question and then let
Ask
the
the
answer
question
come.
and let it come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no answer that anyone can give you because it's your story.
My story.
It's your story because your story
Yeah,
is
well,
your story. So
Yeah, while you were talking, I said, like my son, he doesn't want to talk to me a lot, like anytime I say anything, he doesn't.
Okay.
So, but I use that to go into thought, like, why do I, so maybe that's okay, and then he, and then I worry about him passing classes. He's very intelligent, but doing the work, and my good mother to let him to figure that out, because he's actually made it so that it's hard for me to do any coaching. I really can't coach because I can't talk to him. I have to pray. You know what I mean? So that's tough. You can't do your job. How do you coach if you can't talk?
Yeah.
Right? Different.
I have a question for you. Does he say, Mom, you can't talk to me?
Yeah.
He says that?
Yeah.
So he actually tells you not to talk to him?
Yeah, he's rude. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you can talk to him anyway.
Well, he gets upset.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
About that thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my son got really upset when I talked to him this weekend, and I'm going to talk to him anyway.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Yeah. Are we out of time? Or are we? Anybody else want to share anything? Bonnie? I think we got maybe 1 minute, right? Okay, 1 minute.
That's okay. I should be quick. I just want to say thank you, Monica, and it was amazing. I mean, I always appreciate what you say, but it was amazing to watch the love pour from your face when John was speaking. That was really a beautiful thing to see. So thank you for all of it. And thank you, John, for what you shared. It really was something important for me to hear. And I just want to say what comes to my mind for me is it doesn't really matter what we say or what we do. It's our intention when we're doing it. It's where we're coming from. If it's our intention to heal the relationship, it doesn't matter how we try to do it. It doesn't have to, fit any picture.
It's so true. Thank you, Bonnie. Lovely. It's true. When you make that call, I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth a lot of the time because I didn't know there was a real issue, and yet I knew there was because I wasn't calling. I was resisting calling. So I'd pick up the phone and just go, I just wanted to call you because I feel like I can't call you, or I guess I think that I've hurt you in some way. So I do, and I don't want that to be real. I don't want that to be true. And honestly, my sisters were like crying and thanking me, and my kids were like, Mom, it's really okay. I mean, we went through a lot, my kids and I. They're like, it's really okay. We went through a lot and it was painful, but you really taught me so much. My best qualities come from you. That's what my younger son said to me. I was like blown away. Like you're just sobbing because you don't want to reach out and actually have that conversation because you're afraid, but they love you, and if they don't, that's okay too. And when your son won't talk to you, it's because he loves you so much that he's so pissed at you. It's the love that makes him so pissed at you, and you too. That's just, there's love underneath all of it. There's love underneath everything that we think is not love, because there's no such thing as not love. Only the love is real, and it's underneath the pain. It's underneath this tremendous made-up story of sadness and separation, and then whatever. Just get off it. Guilt, yeah. Just get off it and make the phone call. Do it. Do it now. I challenge you. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Teacher. Thank you, Monica. Okay, so this is the time in our meeting when we pray. So if everybody would form a circle. I want to just say thank you to all of you who are in support of this ministry financially. I want to remind everybody there is a love box in the back. We appreciate your tithes and offerings, as well as we do those of you online who can donate through a button on the foundation website, teachersofgod.org's website, and that those donations and tithes and gifts help us to keep this meeting going every week and to all the programs that we offer. So thank you so much for your generosity. Okay, so we're going to say the prayer of tithes and offerings first. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And Spirit, you have all of the gratitude in our very full hearts for bringing us all together today and to listen to these beautiful teachings from Monica and from John. Thank you for speaking through the two of them and for bringing your light, for bringing all of us together here. We know that wherever two or more are gathered, there is love. And we will take these teachings out into the world today, and we will make the phone calls. We will tell people that we love them, and we will find our way. We will go read chapter 4 again, and we will find our way of having impact in the world and removing the obstacles to love's presence. And so it is. Amen. And love to our friends on the Camino.
Yeah.
Mwah. We love you. Bye.